Since 1994, Apple has kept more than 597 million pounds of waste out of the landfills by recycling and reusing their products. Apple has really started to focus on their impact on the environment, and they're improving and lessening their impact on the environment. In my discussion questions, I had asked, do you know where Apple started and who started it? And do you think Apple is an ethical company? Why or why not? Most people responded with Steve Jobs had started it, and they know a couple other people helped, but they weren't sure where. And the responses I got to question number 2 were, I do think that Apple is an ethical company. When it comes to their products and public relations, I've heard of Apple taking careful steps to help their customers and consider their options with their products. Another person had said, I personally do not like Apple because they seem like they try to dominate and overcharge people on their products. They say a lot about on the company. They don't say a lot on the company anymore now that Steve Jobs has passed. They said they wish we heard more from the company. And another person said, I don't know enough about Apple's manufacturing process to make that determination. I think the way their products help around the world seems ethical. Because Apple is such a large company, I personally think that it is important that they help and try to not make as much of an impact on the environment, and they make their products ethically. Apple is my favorite technology brand. I own and use a lot of Apple products, and I love them. I think they work very well. I have an Apple Watch, and they try to use the best resources instead of mercury or beryllium now. They use products instead of those. Or I have an iPad, probably from about 2009. So this probably has some pretty bad things in it. Probably has beryllium, but they don't use that anymore. I have a 2006 MacBook that also probably has some not so good materials in it, and it's pretty heavy, so there's probably a lot of bad things in here that they don't use anymore. And I also have a 2016 MacBook that I know doesn't have hardly any of the bad materials that they don't use anymore because they're trying to make everything more environmentally friendly. And I'm actually recording this on an iPhone 6s Plus, and that also has the newer products that aren't as bad for the environment, and they can actually be recycled and reused. If I were to send my phone in to Apple, they would take it apart and reuse the parts that they can, and then so that way it would be recycled and not just tossed into a landfill and damaging to the environment. Let's first look at Apple and the effect their packaging has on the environment. 99% of paper is recycled or sustainable in all of their packaging, so whether it be an iPhone or a MacBook or the Apple Watch or an iPad, the paper or anything in there is 99% recycled. And they've been really focusing on trying to make their packages smaller and more to the size of what they're selling or what's in the box. That way they don't have to have a whole bunch of extra paper or plastic or anything like that. With every phone made and released, they actually try to make the paper or make the packaging more environmentally friendly, and they're really always focusing on how to make themselves better. And the newest phone, which is the iPhone 7 Plus, the packaging is 86% less plastic than the previous generation iPhone packaging. Apple really focuses on their impact on the environment. They're trying to create as little waste as they possibly can. Apple tries to give their products a longer life. That way there's less need to keep replacing them and keep making more, and the less you need to replace them, the less there will be a carbon footprint. Apple, like I said, Apple reuses any parts of a product they can. So if you send in something to be recycled, they will take it apart and try to reuse as much as they possibly can out of it. And they also make sure everything is recycled correctly, so it's not just going into the environment or a landfill. They created a robot called Liam, and he's a disassembly line where he takes apart iPhone 6s in order to reuse resources such as aluminum, gold, and cobalt. And with 2 Liam lines, Apple can take apart up to 2.4 million iPhones a year to be reused. And Apple and their water usage and forest conservation. To reduce water usage, Apple created the Clean Water Program. Since then, which was in 2015, Apple has saved 3.8 billion gallons of water. They have also created cooling systems for their data centers that can reuse water up to 35 times. Apple protects 36,000 acres of sustainable forests in the eastern United States, and they are working to transition up to 1 million acres of forest into responsible management by 2020. Not only is Apple focusing on the large-scale environment, they are also focusing on the impact their materials will have on the earth. Apple is really focusing on making their products safer for the environment. They are eliminating any materials that are unsafe or toxic, such as beryllium, mercury, lead, arsenic, and PVC. Apple formed the Green Chemistry Advisory Board, which helps them identify new ways to minimize and eliminate toxins. In conclusion, Apple is very big on helping the environment. They really worry about their packaging and recycling, and they focus on water and forest conservation, and they're always looking for new product designs and materials to use. I would say think about using Apple products or just researching a little more about the products you are using just to know what their impact on the environment is. And I got most of my information from apple.com. They have a special environmental link like under About Us. And then an article from Forbes.com, which was how Apple went from environmental laggard to leader. It talks about how they really didn't post or say anything about their impacts on the environment up until 2007, when Steve Jobs really made it a point that they were going to start focusing on the environment. But up until then, nothing was really said about the environment or what their impact was.